Greetings, everyone. I wanted to do a little bit of a part 2 on the last video that I shot for you on working with an Herbal Grimoire. If you recall, those of you who saw my last video, I showed you how I organize my Herbal Grimoire. And now today, I want to show you how I use it. Because it's not just a recipe book. It's a workbook per se. It's meant to make my life easier. It's meant to help me when I identify herbs or weeds, some might call them, or flowers, and I wonder, what can I do with these? Is there anything I can do with these plants? I can look in my grimoire and I can look up, can I use these for teas or tinctures, or can I use it or salves or whatever? And also, when I use them, I want to leave notes in here. So for the future, I know I really like this. For instance, I really like this lotion, but I didn't like the smell of it. Is there a way I can improve the smell without affecting the properties? Or I look up something and go, oh, the tea, I made the tea, but it's a little bitter taste in there that I'm not really happy with. Can I replace that, whatever made the bitter taste, with something else and still maintain the properties of the tea, those kind of things. So those are I make those notes all the time. And that is why I recommended, if you use these kind of pens like I do, that you might get the assorted colors, because alongside the black, they also have green, blue, and red. And I like that, because then visually, right away, this tells me something, and for me, it's a code. And in this personally, I'm going to show you. This is something I'm making today. I show you how to make it. It contains things that I don't grow, I don't find, I don't forage, but I have a source for them, and so that's what I put the red in there, because I know that's a source. And the only reason I'm using these particularly, and it's in this book, is this is a very important thing that I'm making. I mean, I really want this. And I don't think I can make it any better with what I have on hand. And so always be free to seek what you need. It's one thing to use, well, I'll make this out of large marigolds, because I have marigolds. Well, if the marigolds don't have the right property, that's not going to help you. It might help you for a tea or when you're cooking, but it's not going to help you if you're looking for medicinal purpose or healing, something for medicinal purposes or healing. Okay, so I'm going to be just showing you a few things, hopefully quickly. But before we get into those things, I want to say, I hope you're going to hear me. I do have my dehydrators running behind me today, and this is the site that you're going to see on this channel from this point on through the summer, for at least for the spring, and maybe then in the fall or the end of the summer. And if it's not my dehydrators, it's going to be my canner. So there's always something going on. This is a very, very busy working kitchen here at the Crown House, so you'll just have to forgive that. If that bothers you, look for some of my tarot videos. They're relatively quiet. Okay, so anyway, today, my question today is, now I have all these things that I'm collecting and drying. What am I going to do with them? So I'm going to show you a few things. First, we're going to talk about storage, both long and short-term storage. Then I'm going to look at, what can I do? Do I need this now, or what can I do with these things? Okay, so I'm going to do that, and then we're going to work a little bit. So we're going to be working in tinctures, and in a little bit about tinctures, a little bit about infusing oils for salve that I'm going to be making, and also we're going to be doing some tea. I want to show you some tea. Your herbs that you are drying, either whether you're using a dehydrator such as I use, or you're going to air dry your herbs by hanging. A lot of things you can do that way, particularly like herbs like oregano, basil, those kind of things. But when you get into big leaves of some things, they just take too long. That just doesn't dry properly, and so I don't recommend that for most things. Oven, some people have success putting the herbs in their oven with the light on, no heat. You don't want to use heat because you don't want to cook them. You want everything to be, fresh, fresh dried. But anyway, they have to be crisp dried. They really have to be dried. So when you take them out, you should be able to take the herb and you see they're crisp. They should be able to just crumble in your fingers. Now I live in a relatively dry climate, so it's not. I can sort of leave things out in a bowl for a couple of days until I use them. But if you live in a very humid climate, you really do need to take care of your herbs right away. Either get them into it, and the best way to do this is put it in glass. So this is another reason to save all those glass jars. We just seem to love glass jars. We have them all over our houses. We save every jar we ever can find because we use them for so many things. But I used to always purchase mayonnaise, and we used to purchase it in a quart-sized jar. And this was a really good size to make a lot of things. And I'll show you what I'm going to be making today. But this was mallow that I dried like a week ago or something, and I just put it in here with a lid on it, and it's fine. It's dry. It's dry. It stayed pretty well in here. And okay, so this is my method of short term. And now mallow, I'm not going to be using mallow right now, but I'm going to be using mallow in things. I have made some, use it for some of my oils. I'll show you what I did there in a minute. And so I have it both for short term, and then I'm also for long term. And the only difference in this, I just wanted to show you this, is because this, you can still see the leaves are pretty big. I just stuffed them in the jar. In here, I probably had twice as many, or at least a quarter or third as much of the leaves in here, and I just kept smashing them down into the jar, so that I had an absolute full jar, right, to the top of mallow. And I'm going to be using this. This is my common mallow, by the way. I'm going to be using this. I've already made a lot of salves and putting them in the oil to infuse, but as far as the dry, the only other thing I really use mallow for is I put it in a blend, a green blend, which I will add, especially in the winter, to things like, I'll just put them in anything I can, like in sauces or stews or soups or things like that. I blend, so I have a lot of different green things to blend, to just add a little boost of nutrition and green things to whatever I'm making. Okay, add some of this is when fresh herbs are not quite as available, and it makes a lovely addition. A lot of people do that. I got the idea here from YouTube from like 10 different people. It's not my idea. But anyway, some things I use for that are any kind of green things. Like I'll use dandelion greens, mustard greens, nettles, nasturtium, nettles, nasturtium leaves, things like mallow, or I don't know, there's other thing. Oh, as well as things that are, like I grow kale, and I grow, Swiss chard is a good example. I have Swiss chard in the yard almost all year. And in this time of the year, it's just peaking. It's wonderful. It thrives in the cold, but we also can grow it here most of the year. But in the heat of the summer, some of it gets pretty ugly. And I give it to my chickens, yes, and I'll compost it, yes. But also I'll take some of those leaves that are not so gorgeous, beautiful, and I will add it to my green blend. Okay, so this is going to be a project that is ongoing. So this jar that is very full, I can't add any more to it right now, but it's going to just be in a jar for a long time probably. So I'm going to show you what I do with long-term storage. Now, what I want to say again is, in my climate, this is probably perfectly fine for long-term storage, pretty long. But for people that live in any humidity, you want to make sure air is your enemy, because air, especially when you live in a humid climate, it contains a lot of moisture. So we don't want to leave it open, we want it closed. And I want to show you, this is another trick I learned here on YouTube by a couple people. I think the first person was Heidi at Rain Country, who's she's a homesteader. She's not a witch. She's a Christian, so careful. But anyway, this is a good use for old canning jar lids that you've already used them for canning, but you know, they're still good, but I wouldn't use them again in my pressure canner. But anyway, she uses to seal it, and maybe you've seen these kind of things that there's a hose attachment that it was originally for Food Saver vacuum sealer, but a lot of other sealers, vacuum sealers, you can adapt this to. But if you do, that's an expensive way to seal a jar. A cheaper way, Heidi showed us, was we take this. It's kind of creepy looking, isn't it? It's called a brake bleeder. It's for brakes, like on your car brakes. And I can put a link to how we got this. It's really slicker than anything. And you take a canning, it has to be a canning lid. It can be either a wide mouth, or I have a wide mouth, or a small mouth jar. And you need a canning jar. Now this isn't technically a canning jar, but this is sort of a canning, I think it fits this really well, the rings. So I'm gonna try it. I think I've done it in this before. And you just take the canning lid onto the jar. You fit this cap over it, like that. And I have to put this down. I'm sorry, you can't really see it, but what I'm doing is I'm taking, I don't want to change my camera. I'm taking this, and it doesn't really fit it. Like if this was a food saver, this would fit real well. But so I have to kind of hold that with my one hand into this. I'll just show you here. My hand is, I'm holding it down into that. And then I take the brake bleeder in my right hand, and I'm just going to pump it. And I'm going to pretty much watch it until it goes up in pressure. And she usually pumps hers so it almost stops. I mean, you just have to pump it hard long enough to take the seal, and you'll know when if it doesn't seal. But I want to say, I usually have my husband do this because I have a little bit of limitation in my hand, but I think I can handle him. And I think we take it up to 15 pounds of pressure or a little above. I think that's the goal. So I'm going to try. And you see, you just pump it with your hand like this. And it's kind of workout for your hand, like, I don't know, but you just keep pumping, pumping, pumping. And it'll get harder to pump as you go, because it's, I'm going to cut here so it's not so hard, so it's not so long. It becomes so hard you can almost not pump it. Okay, and then you just check. You take this out and you pop it off. Just like that. And if you can pick it up by the lid, it's vacuum sealed. That's it. That's it. Now if you choose, you can put a lid on top of it. You know, I could add this to, or I can add a canning ring. And then you know it's airtight. You know there's nothing in there. There's not going to get any air in there. And the beauty about this system is, you know, if I want to do this again, once I open it, you just open it like you would a canning lid with a little cap. You can take some out, and then it doesn't have to be full. You can put the lid back on, hook it back up to the brake bleeder, and pump away, and it will reseal it. Okay, so it's really a beautiful system, and it's a lot less expensive than buying a food saver unless you already have one. Okay, so that's for long-term storage. This is for shorter term storage, let's say. Now, how about if you want to use it? What are we going to do to use all these things? I'm going to show you a few ways right now, immediate use, that I'm going to do with the things. The first thing that I want to show you that I'm making, there are two things actually that I'm making right away. So this is what the most important things I want to tell you that I try to get a hold of and get them dried, nice and dried, as soon as they come out in the springtime, because I'm talking about tinctures, and I'm talking about infusing oils for things like salves. Okay, and that's what I'm doing today, infusing some oils for salves, which I've been working on now, and also making a tincture. So when I get these things, like I have some things, I have some nettles, I have mustard, mallow, you know, I've been collecting these things, dandelions. The first question I ask myself is, what am I going to use it for? Okay, can I just put it into storage, or am I going to use it long-term storage, or I'm going to use it short-term, or do I want to get it dried and used right away? And the one thing that I have right away, the weather's going to start to get warmer, and as it gets hotter, I have a little problem, personal, with swelling. You know, my feet will swell on a hot day. My feet will swell, and it's very uncomfortable. It's very ugly, and for me, it's not good, because when I swell, when my feet swell, my blood pressure will probably go up, which we don't want. Because if my blood pressure goes up, my doctor says, you gotta take a pill. I'm not taking a pill. I'm gonna use what I have. But I'm not a doctor. You listen to your doctor. I don't want to give bad advice. You listen to your doctor. Okay, but one thing that helps me is a dandelion tincture. Dandelion has great properties for that. And so I want to make a tincture, a dandelion tincture. Now when I make a tincture, it is one thing only in the tincture. That's important for you to know. One thing only in the tincture. You can combine, after you get dandelion tincture and other thing, mallow tincture, whatever you make, you could combine those into one, but I would not, because they're used for different reasons and you want to keep them pure. Okay, so you want them to be individual ingredients, one only. So, and this is usually the size tincture that when I brew in a jar, it's usually this. And this happened to be about my last one today. So I'm going to take an empty jar, one of these, which is a spaghetti sauce jar that I've had forever. It also says mason jar, but it's not, because don't try to can in it. It won't work. Ask me how I know. But anyway, it fits a canning lid, which I kind of like it for that reason, for food storage or for this. So I'm just going to take my canning funnel, which is my wide mouth funnel, which every canner knows what this is, but I use it for a lot of things because it fits these jars really well. And then my jar of dandelions that I want to use for tincture, this is full. I don't need that much. So I'm going to just pour some into this jar, to store. To store for use or something else. Okay, so I'm just going to take some of this out. Now, I know there's controversy. I don't want to get into any fights with anybody. I even have some of my best friends say they use nothing but fresh herbs for tinctures. I do not. And the reason I do not, I do not anymore, is because there's a lot of water in these herbs. It takes in these plants, and it takes a good amount of time for them to, to get the moisture out when you dry them. If you put fresh herbs in your tincture, it's going to water down your tincture. The first thing is going to be drawn out of your herbs with your, whatever you're using, your alcohol. The first thing that's going to be drawn out is water. It's going to water down your tincture. I don't want a watered down tincture. Do you? I want a full strength, ready to go soldier to help me with my healing and my health. Okay. Now look at this. This is still very packed in here. And look, now I have a whole jar. Look at this jar. That's how packed it was in there. Okay, so, very important. So now I have dandelions, which I have to mark on this right away. I have on my painter's tape. You can't be without this either if you're going to do this. Because it goes on, it stays on the jar, and it comes off the jar very easily. So you have to have everything marked all the time. So painter's tape, I think that's what we call it. That blue tape, whatever it is. I put it on everything, okay? So this I can put aside and use this for something else, dandelion. And I have already marked this jar because I had the dandelion. And I have it about half full. It can be a little fuller. Let's put a little fuller, just a little bit fuller. Because I like it. I like my tinctures nice and strong. Okay. That's pretty good. And if okay, the reason I'm starting today with the tincture is it's going to take at least 2 months for this tincture to be ready. I let mine go a lot longer than that. So if I want this for the heat of summer, let's say if I want this by July, this is what, April, yeah, May, June, by July or August, I'm going to be wanting to strain this tincture because I do not have any dandelion tincture left. It's gone. Okay, so how do I do that? 2 ingredients, whatever your dry product is, and one of my 2 favorite things. I like, well, vodka. Most people use vodka. Some people use Everclear. I don't know, stronger things. It has to be 80 proof or more. 80 proof, which it says on the bottle, down at the bottom, 80 proof. And I like the Trader Joe's because look, vodka of the gods, and I'm pagan, and I think that's cool. This is pagan vodka. Not really. But anyway, I take my jar. Don't need that. And I need, I'm gonna say a chopstick. I have these chopsticks in my cupboards all the time. I use them for everything. for canning. And this just happens to be a plastic one. But I usually, if I'm going to eat with them, I use wood. But I like this usually. But I like these plastic ones I use for canning to get air bubbles out of things. And for this too. So all I would do, okay, you see I have, and I even have some dandelion. Look, there was a dried dandelion flower. I don't know if you can see it. Stem leaf flower. I usually, if I have really beautiful flowers, I save them for another thing, but they work in here too. Okay, so I take my vodka and I'm going to cover this. And I want to fill the jar really, not the whole way full, but I'm just going to pour that. You can't see, I'm just pouring. Just pouring. I don't have to show you pouring. You've seen pouring. But I want to get it. And you notice I didn't really take the time to break those up too small because it's going to sit in here a long time. It's going to work. Whatever you put in here, it's going to really work. Okay. I hope I have enough vodka in here. And I'm sure that I'm not going to use my jalapeno vodka. That's an inside joke for people who watch me all the time. Oh, here we go. We're getting higher. Now I'm going to stop when I get about up to the shoulder mark, a little above maybe. I'm just going to leave some room down below. And right now, if you can see, my herbs are kind of floating. They're going to, as they get soaked, they're going to go down. They're going to drop down. And I could use this to stir it if I want to poke it down. But what I'm just going to do is set it aside and let it sit a minute. I'm going to just put a cap on it for right now, so in case I knock it over. I'm going to just let it sit right here with me on the table until I'm satisfied that it has enough vodka in it. And I might top it off a little more as this sort of starts to absorb the vodka. I mean the dandelion, and the dandelion will kind of sink to the bottom. But this is it. Now the one thing I neglected to do, I did not do, was I didn't put a date on this. We put a date on everything. Oh, especially when it's long-term like this. It's something I'm not going to look at for a couple months. I want to know when I started. So today, I happen to know is April 11 because it's my husband's birthday. Happy birthday, Joe. So I know this is his birthday, and maybe we'll check it at my birthday in June and see how it's doing. I might let it go a little further though. If it's not real hot, I'm going to leave it, because the beauty about tinctures is you can leave it in here. I have tinctures I found in my cupboard that are several years old that still have the herbs. Nothing wrong with them, but they're done. They're done after it pulls out as much as it's going to pull out of the plant. That's it. It's just a matter of fine. And since it's in alcohol, it's not going to get hurt. It's not going to go bad. But this now, after I'm satisfied that I don't need to add any more vodka, I think I probably will add a little bit more vodka. Then this will go in a dark cupboard, cool, dark place. For probably when I have a little cupboard in my living room here that I keep these in. And every once in a while when I get in the cupboard for something, I'll give it a little shake, you know, just to redistribute a little bit. And that's it. That's it. That's how you make a tincture. Isn't that easy? It's the easiest thing. Okay, so what do I do with after now, I was going to show you today how to strain one, but I'll show you another time. But I want to show you what I do with them after I strain this out of here. What do I do with them? Well, I basically do two things. I strain it, and I put it, make sure I get all the leaves out, and I will put it in a bottle. This is a nasturtium tincture. Look how gloriously beautiful it is. Did you ever see anything prettier? Don't you just want to drink that? You don't really want to drink it because it's kind of tastes like grass. It doesn't taste like a, you know, like a nice aged scotch. It tastes like grass, but it's okay. You get used to it. So I keep it in here, or I keep it in, I like a Buddha bottle from Buddha Beer, is what I'm saying. Buddha, you know, Buddha. Buddha Beer is a brand of beer that's in these green bottles you see in my window that have my sweet potato slips in, waiting for to go out in the garden. I put them in there for blessing to get the initial root development after they come off of the potato, and before they go into a glass, you know, to get big full root system on them before they get planted. But so my Buddha bottles are all being used right now, but I also have these little dark bottles. We like to keep tincture in dark bottles, and as you can see, this is a tincture of nettles, and there's even smaller bottles, but I don't go smaller than this. Are you kidding? But this is a good size, especially if I want to give it to my daughter. Here's a bottle, or I sometimes give her a Buddha bottle. If she gets a Buddha bottle, she has to give it back when it's empty. But these, you know, I can give these. And the good thing about these, when I put them on here, I can put the label and I can put the properties of it, what it will help you do in case you forget. And you can either take a dropper full or a teaspoonful or a tablespoonful, how much you want to take. I'm not at your doctor. But what I do is simple. I have these little glasses that we have here. And I just, when I'm using a tincture, I'll just keep the glass here. And I'll just show you, this is me. I just pour it so that it just coats the bottom. I just get a little bit, you see it's just hardly in there. It's just coating the bottom of my glass. And then I'll just drink it. And I will try to get it under my tongue because that's the best place to take it, under your tongue, because it goes into your system easier. So I'll just take it. Under my tongue. No, it's not bad. It's not bad. Now, that's the way Crohn's take it. Crohn's and cowboys, I don't know. But if you're a little more delicate and you're not used to drinking vodka or scotch or that kind of thing, you might want to, most people say put how many drops you want in a little bit of water and then drink it. But just like I don't put water in my tincture jar, I don't put water in my drinking jar. Okay, that's just me. Don't be me. You be you. Okay, but that's it. I just want to show you, it's the simplest thing you ever saw in the world. You ever saw in the world. So tinctures or something. If I need any more tinctures, as you can see, I do not need nasturtium tincture. So when I started harvesting my nasturtiums, it's not going to go into tinctures. It's going to be some used for other things. Okay, so I just want to show you that. And now I'm going to show you the other thing that I could be using right away. Have to get right away going are any kind of an herbal, any kind of an oil that I want to infuse for salves or, you know, shampoos or whatever, creams, those kind of things. Because just like the tinctures, they take at least 2 months to infuse, okay? And I have some here that I have been using. I have so many things on my table. I have some things that I've been using. I want to show you. I have one here that is just my general all-purpose, what is this, Crown House all-purpose salve. And I started this on March 31st this year. And this is, unlike the tinctures, I do not keep this in my cupboard. I keep it right here near my window here with my potato slips, because that's where the morning sun comes in, and I like to keep it in a warm place. A little bit of heat from the sun, hopefully. And this, unlike, it's made the same way, and I'll show you, I'm good, because I am going to make one in front of you right now the same way. But this is not, we don't leave it down from the top. We fill this because we don't want any air in here at all. Well, I'm going to show you that when I make it. But what is this made out of? This is things that I've already harvested. This was calendula flower, which I had dried already. Rose petals, these were all dried. Mallow leaves, which I got from here. Remember, from here, the one I just freeze dried. The one I just vacuum sealed. I had some mallow leaves from that. So this is the calendula flower, rose petals, mallow leaves, lavender flowers, and a little bit of leaves. Morning glory flower and hibiscus flower, and a little bit of leaves that were all dried from my garden from another time. Okay, that's what this one is. This is my Crown House Bite and Sting salve. And I will show you, first it's an oil, but I'm good, after it's infused, we're gonna make these into salves. But as you can see, it takes, I won't be ready to make this into salve for you until what, 5/31 Memorial Day. Maybe we can do that on that weekend. This is my Bite and Sting salve. Oh, and you get a bee sting, but my problem is mosquito bites. Oh, they drive me crazy. So this is going to relieve the itchiness from a mosquito bite, hopefully. And then I have one that I'm going to make right here for you in front of you. This is going to be a anti-fungus salve. Okay, anti-fungus. And this is why I wanted to show you in my book. I had these notes in front of me. I wrote some notes in here by the page. Because this antifungal, now I could have made an antifungal out of things that I have on hand. Like I have nasturtium is a good antifungal, and comfrey, plantain, yarrow. Those are good things for antifungal. But I wanted a super duper knock your socks off fungus fighter salve, and I have been bombarded on Facebook with ads to buy this salve just for this, for fungal salve that costs like $70. I don't know, it costs a lot of money. I don't know how much it costs, but I thought, oh, I could make it. Salves are so easy to make, I'm going to try to make it. So I went to the description list, what they put in their salve, because everybody has to tell you what the ingredients, right? I don't know the amounts, but I know the ingredients. And none of the ingredients that they had listed I have. But where did I get them? Well, I got them from a good source. And I want to tell you that if you do not have access to these things that I grow or whatever, or your forage, Mountain Rose Herbs is just about your best bet. I trust them more than I would trust my brother. I'm serious. They are so wonderful. They're beautifully packed. Some of the things that went into this recipe, if you want to call it a recipe, are neem leaf. Neem leaf. See how beautiful it comes? It tells you how beautiful it is. It's certified organic. It's fruits, you know, for food, botanical. It has cautions on the back. For instance, here, not for eternal use by men attempting to conceive. You know, if you're pregnant or nursing, don't use this. It tells you that. Also, thank you to the state of California. It also tells us that it was consuming can expose me to chemicals including lead, which is known by the state of California to cause birth defects or other reproductive harm. Everything that we buy in California pretty much has that warning on there. I'm not exactly sure, but don't worry about that. I mean, you could worry about it, but I don't worry about that. I trust these people. This is grown organically. This one is a Palo d'Arco bark, which is one of the greatest things to fight fungus that there is. And this says very clearly on here, wild harvested, because this is made from the bark, I think, of a birch tree in the north of whatever, northern United States or northern Canada. I'm not sure. I did look it up, but it's really, really, really valuable for fungus. So that's what attracted me to this recipe. It says known precautions. Okay, so this is really good. Anyway, they're so good with these. This is my go-to place. And I wrote in my book here, when I'm making my recipe, you see I have the red pen that I used, because I'm going to put why I put each of these in there, and of course where I get it from. And of course this is based on, and my notes are that this is based on this salve, because I've never made this before. This is totally new for me. I want to see how good it works. The other difference in this, and of course we're going to infuse the oil, and then when we go to make the salve, we're going to put some more other things in it, like essential oils and you know, things like that to make it into a salve. And I will show you that again in 2 months. But the other thing I really like about this is I usually use grapeseed or avocado oil for my salves. I am using now extra virgin olive oil, because that's what they are that's what they have in there. So I'm gonna try it and see how I like that, because it does go on the skin. There's nothing wrong with it, and I always have an adequate supply. I have an adequate supply of all of those oils because I make my own soap. But olive oil, we use nothing but olive oil in our cooking, just about. Almost, I would say 90%, 95% of our cooking is olive oil, or 90, coconut oil, olive oil, coconut oil, and a little bit of vegetable oil for certain things. But anyway, I want to show you all these things were done. I have done these, which I can't show you. I can show you the jar. I showed you the jar, but I can't show you how to make them. But so I was going to show you how I made, this is for the fungus oil. Okay, I'm getting so long. Good to meet you. I put about equal amounts of everything that I wanted. Astragalus root, neem leaf, olive leaf, Palo d'Arco, and chaga mushroom, which is a lump. You see that in there. Chaga mushroom, chaga. I think it's meant to, when you drink it, you steep it in hot water and it steeps like tea. But this is going to sit a long time in this oil, so, and I can't really break it up. I think it'll be fine. I'm going to just, I could have tried to break it up, but I think it's going to sit long enough in here that I can just let it get softened by the oil. So for this, I need olive oil, and this instead of that. The difference between this and that is how much I'm going to put in. And I'm going to fill this absolutely clear to the top of this jar. I am talking the absolute top of the jar. And I'm hoping I have enough olive oil. I think I do. I think this other bottle is empty. Because we do not want any air. This is not vodka. This is olive oil, which, I have so much stuff on my table, which, unlike vodka, it's not going to, you know, nothing grows inside of vodka. I don't think. You know, it's an antiseptic, right? So, so I'm just going to pour this slowly into my jar, and I really want to get it full. So again, I'm going to pour it slowly. And I'm going to think till it's almost full. Nobody said it was cheap to make these things, but no, it really is, because you buy these things. Okay, I'm going to fill it to the collar first. See, just to the collar first, because I want to see it. I want to get it. I want to use my chopstick and stir that up, and make sure that I get all of it down inside. I don't want any air pockets in there that it's not getting to. So I'm going to just stir that really well. Okay, and then when I think it's full, I'm going to keep going until I get to the absolute top, or within reason. See how I'm going even past? Oh, be careful. Caution, caution, caution. I'm only down like maybe an 1/16 or an eighth of an inch maybe from the top, because I want to get my lid on there. See, my herbs are right at the very top. Can you see that? Because I don't want any air in this at all. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. No air, no air. So I put my lid on nice and tight, and then this is gonna go sit over here on my window with the other ones. But guess what? What is the difference between this and this? What's missing? I didn't put my tape on, so I have to put what's in here on my tape. Take a Sharpie, take my tape, my blue tape, and I'm going to put antifungal. I'll put AF. I know that means antifungal. I don't want to really write fungal on my, somebody come to my house, they're going to go, why is there fungal on your counter? AF salve. That's antifungal salve, and the date 4/1/1. And if you see this on 4/1/2, which is tomorrow, you will know that I was up really late when I tried to edit this. But I really want you to see it, because, you know, don't want to waste time when you talk about making, you know, spring herbs. I'm gonna get out there and get them. Okay, now we're ready. Okay, so that's done. Okay, we're gonna let them sit for 2 months. We're gonna let the tincture sit for 2 months. We'll come back in 2 months' time, and we will show you how to make, I will show you how to make, turn the infused oils, or 1 month's time if I want to do these. Infused oils into salves. I'm gonna show you. It's so easy, anybody can do it. Save your money, make your own stuff. I make them the way you want. Okay, one more thing I want to show you is immediate use, or another way to use them. I'm going to show you teas, just 2 quick ways to do teas, I'm going to use a tea using dry ingredients, dried herbs, and I'm going to use it using fresh. We drink tea all the time. We drink it pretty much all day long. We drink hot tea morning and night always, and most of the time we drink iced tea in the afternoon, but we drink mostly black tea, but we do enjoy herbal teas a lot, both hot and cold. So I'm going to show you two quick versions, try to be quick, of some teas. But what I want to show you is how I'm using my book. Of course, remember I showed you I have kind of a ratio to give me a little bit of guide about how much, if I want to put like nettles, nettle tea, what can I put with it to complement and activate it a little bit, complement it mostly. I also know the proportions, general proportions in my chart. I also have proportions for my pot. I'm going to use my ancient unchipped and stained teapot that we use. Nothing special about it. We bought it at a yard sale, I think, like, I don't know, 10 years ago. It still is beautiful. It's chipped in a few places, but we go through, we use it. It works for us. But anyway, I have some ideas now in my book of some recipes that I have tried before. And now I have some new ideas from what I have, again, using what I have and comparing with the ratios and things in my book and the notes that I've taken in my book and my Herbal Grimoire already. You see, this is how it's helpful. I can try to formulate a couple blends, try to make a few teas here, and then I'll taste them, and if I like them, I will then put them permanently into my Herbal Grimoire, and I will know, because these are things that I have all the time. The things that I'm using right now, I have all the time. Or they're very easy on hand very easily. So that's what I'm going to do with that. And to make my tea, other than my teapot, I've got my hot water kettle here, and let's see here. It's crazy. And I'm gonna make a hot tea that I'm gonna drink here. I'm gonna drink it to drink right away, and I'm gonna use only dried things. The first tea blend that I'm attempting to make is a nettle tea. It's basically a nettle tea. What I'm trying to do is replace sort of go on the idea of a sleepy time blend tea, if you know what that is. It's a lovely tea. My daughter, when she was here last summer, actually put me on that to help me sleep and relax at night when my husband was in the hospital. It's lovely, but it's, a little bit pricey for tea, especially when I can make an herbal blend of my own. I'm going to try. So I thought I would not only make a relaxing tea, sort of reminiscent of the sleepy time blends, without that Earl Grey flavor, which I'm not real crazy about, whatever that is. I forget what that is. It gives it that, it tastes like an Earl Grey tea. But it's going to be relaxing and help me sleep and calm me and help me, but I also want to relieve, the stress. It helps your stress. I suffer from arthritis anyway, and at nighttime, it is exacerbated at night because you don't move so much. So sometimes it's very painful. You've been laying there in one position for a long time, and sometimes it wakes me up because my knees hurt or something hurts. I want to help reduce that kind of symptom. Plus, I also little bit of personal and more personal information. Typical crone, sharing all these things. But how many times, I want to try to reduce how many times I have to get up at night to use the bathroom. Frequency of urination is very common for a lot of people. As you get older, it seems to be a little bit worse. And nettles is supposed to really help with that. So I wanted to make sure I have nettles as one of my active ingredients in the tea. So I'm using the nettles to help with the urination issues. I'm using chamomile, which is, famous for its relaxing properties to help you sleep at night. I'm also giving get rid of the flavor of the nettles. I don't want to really drink a glass of grass. It doesn't really taste that bad. I don't want to say that because it's really lovely of a vegetable. But when I think about tea, I don't really think about eating a vegetable. So I like to give it a little mint. I'm putting some mint in here, and a little bit of lavender, just a little bit, not too much, but lavender also has a lot of relaxation properties. So we just use a little bit of that and a little bit of rose. So I'll show you what blend I came up with. And again, we'll see, and if we like it, we will put it in the book if we seem to work. Okay, so I'm going to use my teapot. I'm going to use the water. But in order to infuse the tea in the pot, now I could just dump stuff into the pot and then either just deal with it and let it settle in my cup like you do, or in your pot like you do, so I don't get all the bits of the herbs and stuff in it. I could do that, and I could even do that and strain it, use a little strainer, like there's a tea strainer over my cup. A lot of people do that. That's easy. I could also use something like this, which is a tea ball. It's called a tea ball, which you clip on in your pot. You put it in your pot and you clip it somewhere, usually, sometimes, if you can, or you just weight it down somehow. It gives you a way to, then you can lift out that after it has brewed, steeped. But I choose to do something different. I like something a little different. I like to use bags. I used to use my own bags. And these bags are just, they're 100% cotton. They're lovely. They're naturally, they're unbleached cotton or muslin. I think it's cotton. Well, muslin is cotton. That's silly. You can technically reuse these, but to be honest, I buy them in a big, a whole lot of them come in one pack. So I use them, I tend to use them one time. But the thing about these teas, you can brew it, drink it, and then brew it again. You can use the bag as it is, full of the stuff, a couple times before you dispose of it. Then when you dispose of it, you just dispose in the compost, and these will compost along as well as the ingredients inside. So I have a small size, I have a large size. Since I'm making a blend, I'm going to use the large size. Okay, so but I'm going to put them in my pot first, and then I will add the hot water. So in this one, I'm going to be using, well, first of all, I'm making a nettle tea, and here I'm going to use my jar of nettles. And these have been dried, so they're not likely to sting me. So that's good news. I'm also I have already here in my little ramekin, I've already put them in there. Some things is some dried chamomile flower, some dried mint, and a little bit of lavender flower, dried lavender flower. Now I use the proportion. I want it mostly nettles and chamomile and mint. Chamomile is usually my major proportion, my major amount. Mostly chamomile, and then almost as much nettles and mint is what I use. And then just a little bit of lavender, just a pinch of lavender, because lavender can be, it's lovely, but it can also be too floral. But lavender has so many wonderful properties in it. It's so soothing and relaxing. I didn't want to not add it. So I'm going to just add my nettles. I'm going to put these first of it in my bag. I just trying to save a little bit of time. So I measure them out, and I'm just putting them in my hand. And I'm not doing anything to them. They're dry. I'm not crushing them or chopping them, or there's some stems with the flowers. That's okay. It's okay. See, I'm just putting it in there. I'm getting it on my table. That's okay. I can still pick them up off my table and use them. Remember what I always say, witchcraft is messy. It's messy. Whether you're making a spell, or you're making oils, or you're making some tea, it's messy. Be prepared to get a little bit messy. Okay, I'm just scraping the rest of it. Don't want to waste any of it. Put it in my bag. That's beautiful. Now I'm ready to put in some of my nettles. Ooh, did you hear that? It already, and then I'm going to put, oh, it kind of stinks. I'm going to pour some out of my ramekin first so I can see how much I have. I really want a good amount of nettles. Okay, so I have some nettles. I'm going to put the nettles in the little bag. You know, this isn't an exact recipe. You need to use your instincts, your intuition, what you think should go. And then I'm going to do two more things in here. I'm going to add, we harvest roses all year round here. and from the yard, and these are completely, they've never been sprayed. They're completely organic, and I always have a combination of dry and kind of still fresh in bowls like this, because when the rose is spent and ready to fall off, we take it and then we use it for all kinds of things. So I'm going to just take a few of the dried leaves, of this rose, and I'm going to add them to my bag. And again, this is floral, so we don't want to add too much. Rose is not quite as strong as lavender for sure, but anyway. And then one more thing, remember these? We made it Yule. I decorated with these, and we use them in all kinds of things. Well, I keep them in the jar, and they're wonderful to take and add a dried. When they're dry, take them and add them to a bag like this, and then when I pour the hot water on it, it's going to infuse it. Okay, so then we're going to have that lovely citrus orange in here. So I take the bag, I plop it in my pot, and then I'm going to just pour hot water. I could do so with my kettle. I've got my kettle here. Here's my kettle. I'm just going to pour some hot water over that. And I'm going to let it steep in while I'm talking to you about something else. And then we'll come back and we're going to try that. Okay. So my bag's in there. I wish I had a better camera angle. And I just take my lid, put the lid on, let it alone. Okay. Now it usually takes herbal teas a little longer to steep, and we usually do it by color. Okay. We usually know it's done by color. And that's one of the reasons I like this next thing that I'm going to do. Is I'm going to make some fresh tea while that's steeping out of fresh herbs and flowers. And this little thing, I think I showed you a long time ago in another video, is my Middle Magic Ingenua tea. It's called Ingenua tea. It's made by Adagio Teas. I will link to this, because this is, if you make herbal teas, this is the most fun thing in the world. Now you can use dried in here, but I use this for fresh, because I don't want all the little bits of herbs and stuff getting in here, and I like to see the fresh. I think that's part of the experience of using fresh herbs and flowers, is seeing how pretty it looks. Also, because it's clear, we'll be able to tell when this is ready. Okay, so I'm going to use similar ingredients, but not quite, because these are going to be fresh. And I just went out in the garden just a minute ago and picked some things that we're going to put in here for tea. Okay, and one of the things that's going to go in, instead of the dried nettles, I'm going to put some fresh nettle tops. And I'm holding them by the stem so they're not, and look at me, stem and all, they're going in my pot. Stem and all, get in there. Oh, get in there. Now these are very young nettles, not a lot of strong nettle coming from it, but usually I would wait till I have a little bit larger leaves on there, but that's okay. I'm also going to put inside that, I'm also going to put some fresh mint. I have some mint leaves, and again, I'm just going to stuff them in the pot. Oh, that smells good. I have some fresh thyme. Look at this beautiful thyme, and it's flowering. Oh, it smells so good. That's going to go in my pot. And again, I'm going to take a few of those the leaves from the rose that are still kind of fresh. I could go out and get it more, but I don't like to take things. I don't take things like that until the rose bush is ready to give them. When it's ready to give them up, that's when we take them. Okay, so I have some rose. And then, oh, the favorite part is nasturtium flowers. Aren't these gorgeous? Oh, I love nasturtium more than I love anything in the world. Now, if you've never grown nasturtiums, I have to tell you one secret thing. One secret thing. Do you see how it's made? It has this little, can you see that? This little, see, it goes inside, and then this is hollow, this little, it's like a little cone at the bottom. And that's the little sweet part of the flower. I mean, the whole thing, I could just pop this in my mouth and eat it, or put it in a salad. They're wonderful. They're wonderful. But you know who else likes these? Who likes them a lot? Ants. And what happens is ants will go down inside there, I think, and they'll be often, when you pick them fresh, you'll see ants in here. So when you bring them in the house, before you use them for anything, gently run a little bit of water down inside, and you'll see the ants will come running out. Then you can shake out the ants. So, because we don't want, first of all, we don't want ants in our tea or ants in our salad or whatever. So that's what I did there. So we remember to do that. But aren't they beautiful? They come in different colors too. But these are just 3 that we happen to have. I'm going to put these in my tea, and I'm just putting them in. Look, I'm putting them in right like that. And what did I else have? Oh, and instead of the dried oranges, instead of I could use a fresh orange, but I happen to have this fresh lemon here on my counter from our tree. So when I want to add some lemon to this. I think that'll be really good. And when I want to add lemon, I want to add, first of all, some of the zest, because we know all the flavor that's in the zest, and I wanted to get to the tea real fast. So I take it off. This is a trick I learned from, I think, Jamie Oliver. You take and put the zest in, so you put it in separately. You don't need a lot of it. Okay, and then I'm going to take my knife, and I'm going to cut some slices. Some pieces of lemon as well. I don't need a lot. And add those to my pot. So we get nice lemony flowers and flavor. So just like before, I'm going to pour them, but now I'm going to pour them in this plastic, the hot water, into this container. Again from my kettle. And I'm going to pour that over. I'll hold it up in a minute. Be gentle because it's hot water, but it's made for this, so this is fine. And fill it up. And now you tell me that this isn't beautiful tea. Now you want to be careful. You don't want to touch the bottom. I'll show you why, but I can hold it up just by the handle and show you. So you want to let this sit for a few minutes, because we want to infuse this. So we're going to just put that aside. And then we're going to be checking, and when these are ready to drink, I'm going to pour them in. I'm going to show you the magic of this. This is incredible. You want one. You want one of these. I've had my tea, my nettle tea, steeping in my pot for a while now, not too long. But unfortunately, the only way to tell if you have it if you left it long enough to steep is usually by the color of any kind of tea. That's where you tell. But with herb teas, some of them hardly change color at all, so it's really hard. So we're gonna have to go by the taste. But to help us out, I have one of these clear glasses, and I'm gonna just pour. I'm gonna see what we get when we pour it in here. Oh, and it looks pretty good. It's a pretty color. Oh, it smells good. It does not smell like nettles. It doesn't really. Doesn't smell. I don't know. It doesn't smell like much of anything. It's like a chamomile tea, like a good herbal tea. So give it a little taste. Oh, that's lovely. That is really, really lovely. I like that a lot. I really like that a lot. I don't think I want to do anything. I think it's perfectly fine. But I want to tell you that, again, this pot, I have the bag in here. The bag is steeping. And now I can empty this pot. After I drink this pot, I can make another pot using the same bag. I'll just leave that bag in there and brew it again, and it should make another pot. Because that's a lot of tea. Think about it as using a giant tea bag, because that's kind of what you're doing. That's what you're kind of doing there. Okay, so let me give that. That's really nice. I'm going to try that for tonight to see how it helps me sleep. So I'll let you know. The other thing I made was using the fresh herbs, and I made it in this magic pot, which I want to show you. And I'm glad to show you this. The magic is, I don't know if you can tell, but it's up on these little plastic feet, and there's a reason for that. And it comes with a little coaster that you set it on, because you don't want to push on that bottom. And there's a reason, because I'm going to show you. I don't know. We're going to see if this is done or not. I think it is. I think we're going to check it. And again, I can always put it back and brew some longer. But for this, I'm going to use this kind of it's like a candy jar, but it has, you've seen, it has a handle on it, which a lot of people use as a drink out of. And I love these because you can use it as a cup to drink. You can also use, put a lid on it and keep it for later, which I like that a lot. So, and that's kind of what I'm going to do. I'm going to be taking this. And I can drink it warm, but what I really want to do with this is make this and then put a lid on it in the refrigerator and drink it as a cold nettle tea, okay? So I'm going to just show you how this works first, and then I'll decide if I like it or if I want to do some more. I take this and I'm going to set it down on top of the lid. I just set it down to do it. And there it goes. See how it goes down there like magic? Is that the coolest thing you've ever seen in your life? Oh, I love that. Okay, so I'll put that back down on the coaster. And I'm going to give this a taste. I don't think it shows up very well on there, but it's kind of it has color to it. It's not quite as colorful as this was. So let's compare. But remember, this I used orange, and this I used lemon, so it's going to have a little different of a flavor. Let me see. You could drink this hot or cold. Oh, that's nice. I don't think I would want any more to that. I think I would drink it just the way it is. So just like so since I have it in this cup, I can drink it hot, or I can take a lid. I have plastic lids, I'll show you. Plastic lids, well this will fit, but also they sell jars, plastic jars that fit the canning jar. And you just put the lid on it. And it can go in your refrigerator like this, and then I can drink it. I can put some ice cubes in it tomorrow or later on and have a glass of hot tea after it cools down. So that is a fun experiment, right? A real fun experiment. And this is left, and again, I can put this, I can add more water to if I want to. And then I'll have a second cup, and I can have one for my husband so he can have a cup of this too. This isn't as pretty, but I'm sure it'll just be as tasty because there's a lot of goodness still left in the items in that thing. I'll go ahead and pour it in there now. And I'll find another one of these glasses for him. And then we'll have that for our lunch tomorrow. That'll be nice. So there you have it. I hope I gave you some ideas again for using your Herbal Grimoire if you have one. Remember, all of these things I have to record all of this stuff. Remember, this is not a recipe book. I'm going to write all through this. I'm going to make notes, what I liked, what I didn't like, what I can use to replace something if I don't have such a thing. Like, maybe I don't have any chamomile or lavender flowers. What can I use instead? Or maybe I did this way, I kind of did it backwards. I don't always have fresh nasturtium flowers. I do dry them. But what if I didn't have any nasturtium flowers? What could I use instead? They kind of would mimic what I used, for my recipe. Okay, so that's it. And I'm sorry if this got too long-winded, but I really was anxious to show you as much as I could right now, because this is the season to get out there, look in your yards before you mow it all down, look in your fields that are not been sprayed. Remember, anything that you're going to ingest, whether in a tincture form or put into a product that you're going to salve, that you're going to apply to your skin, or anything that you're going to drink, please make sure you use only 100% organic herbs. Do not use anything that's been sprayed. Please, no Miracle Grow, no nothing, just 100% organic. Okay, because that's how you're going to, just especially like a tincture, that alcohol is going to draw everything out of these nettles, or these dandelions. And if they come from a place that is not, you don't want to take anything from a place where it's straight chemicals in the dirt. You got to be really careful about that, because that will bring all those chemicals into your body that are in that plant. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you're making your own Herbal Grimoire, or you have a different grimoire that you want to share. Let me know if you have some of your favorite plants, how you use them. I would love to hear about it. As always, I am Rebecca. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you blessings.